Hey everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome to another speed reviews video. I have so many things to mention in this video. I'm going to try and get through them as quickly as possible so this video isn't super long. I want to try and make sure and get this out before the Black Friday sales end. Speaking of Black Friday sales, thank you so much, Louisa, for sending me some more pieces. This video is not sponsored by them, but they very kindly sent these to me in anticipation for their Black Friday sale. If you haven't heard of Louisa before, they're very high quality jewelry and it's more affordable. Their products are hypoallergenic and sweat resistant. Excuse me. And let me tell you, I have really sensitive ears. Even though I have a large earring collection, I'm usually suffering with ears that are just inflamed from wearing earrings. And these ones from Louisa don't do that to me, and I've been testing them. They're also not too heavy. That's very nice to know. Let me get you a little closer so I can show them to you. So these particular earrings are called the Ash Double. They're so cute. I love them. They're actually great for stacking too. Right now I need to get my second holes redone. You know how I mentioned how I have sensitive ears? Yeah, my second holes, they did not do well. They would not heal well for me, so I've just been leaving them alone. So currently I'm not stacking jewelry, but Louisa has a lot of beautiful stacking pieces, and these particular earrings, my daughter is always trying to steal them. And they are gold plated, which I really appreciate. I do like myself better in gold than silver, I must say. And then as for the necklace, this is the Pebble necklace, and same thing, it's gold plated. I'm really drawn to like these kind of organic shapes. It's not quite a teardrop. So anyway, if you have product you've been looking at for Louisa and you've just been waiting for a sale, the Black Friday sale is a good one. It's 30% off. And can I just tell you that they have been a really, really nice brand to deal with. I know that when I hear that about a brand, it makes a difference to me as a consumer, so I thought I'd share that. They've just been really, really nice to me. I'm gonna have a link to Louisa down in the description box. Let's get into the rest of these reviews. Let's start with eyeshadow palettes. I have two stunning palettes to talk about. The first one is the one on my eyes today, and this is from Sydney Grace. Wearing Sydney Grace eyeshadows is like coming home. There's something about them. Their quality is always top tier. Always. So this is the Cozy Cafe palette. If you've never tried a Sydney Grace palette before, the mattes are very easy to blend and yet quite pigmented. Like they really hit that mark where people who want pigmented shadows are happy and people who want blendable shadows are happy. They're both. But the real star of the show, no matter how good their mattes are, the real star of the show are the shimmers. Like they're just really famous. Let me give you some of these swatches. This is Coconut Cream. Oh my gosh. Can you see how like molten that is? This is Toasted Bagels. Like, they're so spreadable. They go so far. A palette will last you, I feel like, a lifetime. So that was a couple. That was this shade and this shade. Let me quick show you a couple shades from this bottom row. This bottom row is very cool toned and dramatic. Like that's like here after a smoky eye. This bottom row is stunning. And I feel like Sydney Grace does a really good job with these kind of like silvery shadows. They always do amazing. So this is the shade Fudgy Delight. Wow. This is double espresso. Holy Hannah. So good. So I don't think they necessarily marketed as like one row being a certain look, but that's kind of how I wore the shadows in here. Each row does have a certain style. Today I'm wearing shadows from the top row. Cinnamon latte through my crease, warm croissant on the outer corner for some depth, and I have warm croissant on my lower lash line as well. And then I have coconut cream as my lid shade. It's a beautiful palette. If the color story calls to you, I do not think that you will be disappointed. Now let's talk about this stunner from Danessa Myricks. This is the latest Lightwork palette, the Volume 7, the Freedom palette. This palette's been getting a lot of attention for very good reason. So it has a lot of different kinds of shimmers. You have something like this shade where it's just perhaps a little bit more wearable. A lot of people will wear a shade like this where it's got kind of the really pretty shimmer, but it's not chunky. Look at that, wow. Then you've got formulas like this one where it has, again, a lot of smoothness to it, but this is like liquid metal, and a little bit goes a long way. If you use just a little bit, it can look kind of flaky, but if you want to go for the intense metal look, look at that. Holy cannoli. As I'm showing you these shades, I'm going to put up pictures of looks I did with these shadows. I think my favorite shade in the palette is actually this sparkly blue up here. It looks absolutely insane on the lids. Oh, it can be so difficult to show on camera. I really hope that you can see the intense blue flash. Yeah, I love to wear that one. That is so fun. I know some people were not happy that she included mattes in this particular palette. I think it brought it up to the next level. The mattes are a really good formula. They're soft, but not necessarily dusty. They're really, really easy to blend. And one dip of my brush was plenty, but I never felt overwhelmed by pigment. As for general wearability, so actually I found that I could wear a lot of these shades and not be overwhelmed, but there were a few shades in here where I felt like they were just a bit too glitzy for my personal taste to wear more than once or twice a year. So if you're kind of waffling on the price of that and you're someone who doesn't like to wear an eyeshadow that's too much, that this might not be a good choice for you. I'm especially thinking of these purples and that kind of taupey shade that I just did, like that one's right here. It's so, so intense. And yet there's plenty of shadows in here that I would absolutely wear every day. So take that as you will. I actually have a friend who wears the most glorious eyeshadow on a daily basis, and she can just pull off the craziest color combinations. I don't know how she does it. When I try to copy it, it doesn't look as good. But I'm actually gonna give her some of these shades. I think I'm gonna give her this really amazing blue and the purples. But aside from the stunning formulas in here, the way that this palette is set up is so unique. And I did show this in the video where I tried this on with you guys, but let me show you if you missed that video. Each of these palettes is actually a separate palette. You can pop out each one so that it looks like this. On the top, this little top pops off. It has a mirror, and that becomes the lid for each little palette. Then if you want, you can stack them and have it like this instead if you really need the space. Like, I think that's just fabulous. And then each of these pops out and is magnetic, so you can rearrange it to your heart's content. It is so cool. I'm absolutely loving this. Yes, it was a splurge, but again, I've been really trying to rein in the eyeshadow spending, and so for this being one of the few eyeshadow palettes I bought this year, I'm really, really happy with it. Let's talk about foundation. I rarely get to review foundation. I don't let myself do it too often. I tried this very popular one. I fell into the hype. This is from Dior. I have the shade 1N. I am wearing it right now, and I think you can tell it is just a tiny bit too dark for me. It's not bad enough to where I actually can't wear it, so I'm going to continue to use it. The stick is very scented. Happily, it's a scent I like. I actually, one day when I was wearing it, I noticed I kept getting whiffs of it when I would like turn my head. I could smell my foundation. Not normally something I would prefer, so that 100% needed to be mentioned. The formula of this is very interesting. It looks natural, but also a little bit extra. Like, I was asking my daughter, I'm like, how would you describe my skin? She's like, and she told me it doesn't look like there's makeup like sitting on your skin. Like, it didn't look makeup-y, but she could still tell that there was something going on. I think it's because it's so blurring. It's a very soft foundation stick, really easy to blend out. It kind of reminds me of, there's some stick blushes that have really, really nice blurring textures like this. This feels kind of like that, but in a foundation. It has a little bit more coverage than I'm used to, but it's not necessarily full coverage either. There's 10 grams of product in here, which will last me a long time. I am pleased. I do wish I'd gotten a slightly lighter shade, but overall, I'm very happy with this. I can see why it's hyped up. Do I think people need it? No, but at the same time, I know I'm gonna treasure using it. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things before we really get into blush, because I have a lot of blushes to talk about. Let's talk about this mascara from e.l.f. This is the Incredi-curl. I think I did a pretty nice job with my lashes today. I would say it is a nice everyday mascara. It gives you time to build it up without your lashes quickly becoming crunchy, but at the same time, it builds up fast enough so that it's not frustrating. It's definitely not the most like dramatic volumizing mascara I've ever used, but sometimes you don't want something that's so intense. So I feel like this, like I said, a nice everyday mascara. It wears decently well for me. It removes fine. I think it's a nice mascara. Not necessarily raveable, but nice. So I purchased a little mini of the Auric Glowlust. This has been on my wish list ever since this was released. If you're not familiar with Auric, it's Samantha Ravndal's brand. She's a Canadian YouTuber. And the Glowlust is what you would expect it to be. A glowy product that you can use as either a mix-in or as a highlighter on its own. I picked up the shade Morganite, which is the lightest shade, and I actually think I should have gotten a slightly deeper shade. I should have gotten Selenite, because my main way I was testing this was I was mixing it with foundation, and it actually lightened the foundation. This is very, very light. The foundation I was testing it with was Estee Lauder Double Wear. If you're familiar with Estee Lauder Double Wear, This stuff is actually a little scary. You use the tiniest amount. It goes a very long way. It's very matte, very long wearing. So I thought it'd be a really good one to test a glowy product with. They go together really well. However, since this is a very thick product, it made this normally kind of thin product very thick. It was very interesting, but it still went on really prettily and it wore all day, as you would expect. Using these two products together, because you use so little of each, this would probably last me like 3 years. So good to know. Little goes a long way. But even though I used it as a mixer for the first several times I was testing it, I actually found that my favorite way to use it is just as a regular highlighter. You need, again, very, very little because it's so thick. I'll put a tiny little pinpoint on my fingers, rub it together, and then tap it in, and it's really, really pretty. Do I think you need to spend the money on something like this? Probably not, but I would say that the formula is very unique. I've never tried something that is so thick like this. I'm just happy I got the mini. The full size has a lot of product. Okay, now we can talk about blushes. I have several to talk about. Let's talk about one that I feel like a lot of you guys already know all about. This has been out for a long time. I finally got a little mini to try, so this is from Saie. This is the Dew blush in the shade Chili. This is another product where a little goes a very long way, and it's very dewy. So if you like a dewy blush, you certainly should check out this one. This would actually mix really well with that Auric. I didn't actually try that, but that would be a fun thing to try. But you saw how just a little bit goes a very long way. And I know I put it over that Auric, so that really is like showing too much shine. But it has a really nice texture, kind of like a gel-like texture to it that makes it nice for blending. You can tap it out with your fingers if you want. I tended to use a brush, but I have used blushes like this where it was almost too watery and it got kind of patchy looking. That didn't really happen with this one. This one has a little bit more of a gel-like feeling that makes it spread better and also wear longer than you would expect for a dewy blush. I can see why people love these. I know I'm gonna enjoy this. Maybelline came out with a new Mousse blush. Should I do a video trying on all of these? I'm tempted, but I don't know if I necessarily like all the colors, so that's why I'm kind of been holding back. But in any case, I really like the color that I got. I got one of the deepest shades. This is shade number 12, Toasted Sky. It has a delightful moussey texture, and this is a gorgeous roasty toasty shade. And I know it looks insane right there in the back of my hand, but it blends out really, really easily. Oh, it's so pretty. I actually really like this also on my lips. That isn't always the case with lip and cheek products, but I really love this on my lips. It was very comfortable. Moussey products like this are blurring. I know I feel like I've been talking about blurring a lot lately, and you know what, is going to continue because a lot of products that I'm trying right now are the blurring kind, and I have always loved a blurring product. I do tend to have bigger pores here. They've gotten a little bit less noticeable over the years, but just from my years of acne, I do struggle with that here, so I'm always after a blurring product. Something that isn't new, really getting traction, and I'm so happy I got to try one. So this is from the brand Fwee, which is a K-beauty brand, and this is the Pudding Pot, which is another bouncy moussey blush. So this is the shade Without. So I purchased this because it was described, I think it was like I think they said beige pink or nude pink, something like that. On me, this actually is quite pink, but these are, again, so moussey, ooh, so sheer, very easy to work with, but look at how nice and sheer that becomes. So if you're someone who's after a barely there blush, these are actually really, really beautiful, and there's something like 30 shades. Unfortunately, this is not my favorite shade on me on either my lips or my cheeks, so while I really like the formula, I really do, I think I'm actually going to give this to someone who's more cool toned than me. I think that she might enjoy this shade, which is such a bummer because I just love this whole little concept. I love this little pot. I love the frosted glass packaging. Eventually, I'll probably get a different shade to try. Also from Fwee. That's a huge point, by the way, in their favor that the brand name is Fwee. It's just really fun to say. I tried the Jelly Pot. This was much more of a success for me because of the color. This is the shade Caramelized. Another product that I'm loving on my lips and my cheeks. So as you would expect with the name Jelly Pot, it is a bouncy jelly. Put it over here. And this again is a very sheer product. It will give you kind of that popsicle cheek look. I refer you to the video where I tried this on. If you like a dewy sheer blush, this is so beautiful, but I think I love it even more on my lips. It does have a little bit of a scent, sweet. I'm really happy with this. And now we come to the product that I know I wasn't the only one who was so excited for these. Salt New York sent me the light and the medium quads from Hannah Louise Poston's collection. I'm jumping into my own video here. Some things I forgot to tell you about the Hannah Louise Poston collection. So if you're like thinking the colors are odd and you're like, what even is this? So she is famous for being a very pale olive, and colors on olive skin people can really go kind of cray. They look very different for some reason on olive skin. So she wanted to make grungy makeup for olive skin. And just looking at the reviews that these have been getting, people with very fair skin and also olive tones, whether it's fair, medium, or deep, people are just kind of going wild for how these don't pull oddly on olive skin. So if you're someone where makeup always goes wildly fuchsia or orange on you, these shouldn't. They put a lot of effort into creating olive skin friendly makeup. So first, from the medium quad, I am wearing the shade Aniseed on my lips and my cheeks. So that can give you a good representation. It looks very, very deep in the pan, and I just kind of dipped my blush brush in there, and that's how it looks on my skin tone. I know when I saw Hannah try some of these shades in her video, she was using them on her lips and they looked much deeper. I think she was getting a lot more product on a brush and just wearing a lot more. I tend to wear it more sheer, kind of blotted on, and oh, I love it on my lips. I was trying to figure out how different this is from their normal blush formula, because it is a different formula. It feels like it dries down a little bit more. It's still sheer and balmy, but the biggest difference I noticed was in the highlighters. So this is the light highlighter, and it's the one I'm wearing today. So I did a short where I tried on all the shades, and I was just really excited in that short about the highlighter. Let me tell you why. Let me quick shift gears and show you another highlighter I've been loving in the light Auric palette. This is the highlighter, and I've been contemplating, you know, one of my favorite things I tried this year. This has been on the list. I love it so much because it's kind of both glazed, donut looking on the cheeks, but also wet looking. I have found it so unique and I cannot stop reaching for it. So then I heard Hannah describing in her video that's exactly what she was going for with her highlighters. Glazed donut cheek, but wet. And I'm like, oh, maybe they'll look the same. And while the formulas are not the same, they do look so similar, which I just love because, you know, they do not at this moment sell these in singles. It's just in the palette. So let me quick swatch them next to each other for you, the light shades. So this is from the light Auric palette, and this is from the light quad. So you can see the one from the light quad, it's actually kind of taupe. Even that being said, there's so little base pigment in it that when you actually blend it out, you don't really see color. You just kind of see shine, if I can get it to reflect. And it's very difficult to pick up on camera. Like, I don't even know if you can see that, but me looking at it, they have a very similar quality. It's exactly what I was hoping for. And I am wearing the light one, so you can tell what I mean. I hope that it has both enough presence to kind of give you that frosted donut effect, but at the same time, it's reflective in that wet, beautiful way without chunks of glitter. And it also just doesn't disappear into the skin like some can do, where it just gives you kind of a dewy appearance, but more in like a sweaty way. Whereas this looks like an actual highlighter. It's got some shine, but because it's a cream, it blends in, it melts in so nice. If you generally like cream highlighters, I think you're going to love it. If you already like the Salt New York ones, like what's the difference? The ones from Hannah, they're definitely more creamy. Like you can really kind of get in there. I feel that it's a little bit more creamy and not just balmy. Now I had a lot of people commenting on that short that I made that all the shades look the same. So they're all that kind of desaturated kind of shade. And the medium and deep quads are basically the same color as the light, just deeper. And I do get that it can be difficult to see, especially on camera, the nuances between each shade. But I feel like Teasel here, it's got a little bit more brown. Old Gum is the shade I think of as the most desaturated. And Waxwing is where things start to get a little bit purple. And then here's the highlighter there. So that's what the first quad, the light quad, looks like. Okay, so here's like the more brown shade from the medium quad. Here's Orchid. Like, see how much brown that is on me? And yet, for some reason, when I blend it out, I can wear it. I think it's really pretty. Ooh, Oyster Fig. Again, it's just a deeper version of this shade. It's beautiful. And then finally the shade I'm wearing on my lips and cheeks, this is Aniseed, the more purpley shade. Now, if you're like me, or my complexion, and you saw this highlighter, it looks absolutely terrifying. And even when I swatch it, I'm kind of like, I don't know, it looks really warm and gold. It's actually just a deeper taupe. I'm gonna try blending it out right here on the side. So when I wear this, it's amazing that I can wear it. And when I kind of turn my hand, it does look a bit golden on me, but when I wear it on a blush, it doesn't look too dark. It just adds a little bit more dimension. Oh, but someone with medium skin would have the effect that I have with the light one, with just kind of the frosted, wet looking effect. Whew. Thank you, Salt New York. I absolutely love them. I'm going to be wearing them. I think they're some of my favorite things I have tried this year. I had people asking me which ones they should buy, if they need to buy more than one quad. I don't think you necessarily need to buy more than one quad because the shades are similar in like that desaturated way. Just look at swatches, pick 1 or 2 shades, and I think that you'll be very happy. They said it is limited edition, but they don't really know how long they're going to keep it around. They basically make them as they get orders. So I think as long as people are liking them and buying them, I think that they will keep making them. I hope so. I really hope so. Here's the little card that they sent with the PR. So this is the light, medium, and deep quad. So you can see how it's just the same shade, but deeper in each quad. They have beautiful swatches on the Salt New York website as well. So I hope that that helps, especially if you feel like the shades all look the same. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. This is always where I like to share my tea of the day. Today I'm drinking a delicious Big Red Robe oolong. As far as oolongs go, it's got more of a roasted flavor, but not smoky. I've loved Big Red Robe for years. So if you don't necessarily think you'll like the floral oolong, but you still want to try oolong, a roasted one like this one, you may enjoy more. And I don't necessarily hear other people saying this about it, but for some reason, it reminds me very much of like toasted bread. And that's a good thing. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to check out the Louisa link for their Black Friday sale. I really appreciate you. I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye.